Greetings, salutations, everybody. Welcome to AMC Mailbag for this Saturday, July the 6th, 2013. This is Mailbag. This is the show for AMC Movie News where all we do is take your questions that you email to us. And you can email your questions to us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. My name's John Campea. I'm the editor-in-chief of AMC Movie News. And joining me today, she is one of the correspondents here at AMC Movie News. She is Miss Clark Wolf. Clark, how you doing?
Hey, John, I'm good. How are you? Happy belated 4th of July.
Yes, as a Canadian, that doesn't make much to me, but yes, thank you for your kind words anyway. Hey, we've got a whole bunch of questions to get to today, so let's get started right away with this. Emilio V. writes, "Hi there, movie talkers. I've been watching your show for 3 months now, thank you very much, and I absolutely love it. It's now the highlight of my day. Anyways, my question is about the Batsuit. When Batman is rebooted, how do you think the costume designers will run with the suit? Do you think they'll do the classic rubber-looking suit that makes it incapable for him to turn his head? Or will they do a more high-tech Dark Knight-style suit? Also, which suit do you think they'll go with? All black, black and yellow, gray and black, blue, gray and yellow, etc., etc.? Well, Clark, let's start with you. How are they going to handle the Batsuit in the next Batman incarnation?
Well, actually, before I get to that question, John, have you heard any news on if Christian Bale is going to play Batman again?
That is called being a crap disturber.
Yes, it is. It sure is. So, yeah, that's a really interesting question about the suit that will not be on Christian Bale the next time we see it. I think that based on what we got in the Dark Knight universe and taking the suit into a more military-style look, and then based on what we got on with Man of Steel in terms of that color scheme and that, I think the Man of Steel suit is going to set the tone for the Justice League universe. So the next time we see the Batsuit, I think we're going to continue down the path that Chris Nolan established and that Zack Snyder sort of embellished a little bit with his Superman suit. So I think we're going to get dark colors. I think the Burton yellow and black is gone for good, and I think we're going to stick with that more militaristic style suit that we got in the Nolan universe.
Yeah, I think gone are the days of bright colors and neons that'll harken us back to the glory days of Batman and Robin, when Arnold Schwarzenegger will say stuff like "cool off." Yeah,
yeah, chill, John, chill.
Yeah, I remember the Neon Gang. Like,
yeah,
no, I think the bright colors are gone. I think we're now in an era of Batman is in black. And I think it might be accented a little bit here and there with gray, but not like the silver that George Clooney's Batman suit is infamously infamous for. That was 7 shades of awful. So, yeah, that's where I think the yellow cape or the yellow bat symbol is gone. I think any other types of colors are gone. I think it's going to be black with mild shades of gray here and there. And it'll probably be the more quote-unquote futuristic type, more movable. So I don't think we're going to see the rubber suit. I think that's done. I think that was great for the early 2000s and late 90s, but I think that's done. So whoever the next Batman is, and it won't be Christian Bale, but whoever the next Batman is, I think we are looking at something more along the lines of the modern, the blacks, and it'll just probably go that way.
Do you think he'll have a cape in the next one, John?
Yeah, I think he'll absolutely have a cape. I mean, that reminds me of listening to, our friend John Schnepp here on AMC Movie Talk is doing a documentary on that infamously infamous. Yes, that Superman movie that Tim Burton was going to do with Nicolas Cage. It was going to be called like Superman Lives or something like that. And I was watching the Kevin Smith story again the other day about how producer John Peters first said, I don't want a cape. I don't want that stupid cape on him. It's like, but this is Superman, right? And I think Batman with the cape, I think, I can't, unless John Peters is going to produce it, I think definitely we'll see the cape.
And then we'll get a giant spider.
And then the giant Joker spider at the end will come out and just wreck everything. Hey, for those of you who haven't seen, remind me. I will put a link in the show notes to the Kevin Smith story we're talking about, because if you haven't seen it, it is one of the best stories you'll ever hear come out of Hollywood about how a movie came together and how it ultimately fell apart. It's absolutely hilarious, and it's all totally true. So I'll put a link to that. You should watch it. If you haven't seen this story yet, go down to the show description and see what I'm talking about. All right, the next question comes to us from Luis Ortega, who writes, "Hi, my name is Luis, and I've been a fan of the show for a while. Thank you very much. Okay, so I was wondering, if you may know or speculate, why is there no talk of a Prince of Persia 2 movie? In my opinion, the first one was good, maybe the best video game movie adaptation so far. So what do you think? Thanks." I'm going to throw out a couple reasons why I don't think we've seen a Prince of Persia 2 and why we're not going to see a Prince of Persia 2. Number one, I'm really glad you liked it. I mean, there are people out there who liked it, and that's the great thing about film, right? It's all subjective. Even the best of films have some of us who hate them. Even the worst of films have some of us who love them. And that's the great thing about movies. I personally hated Prince of Persia. I thought it was terrible. It's got a critic rating of about 35%. But here, the big number here is this, is that to make Prince of Persia, it cost them a reported $200 million to make that movie. It made $90 million domestically. Now, you might want to say, well, what about internationally? Well, internationally, it made about $330 million. Well, some people will then say to me, John, then if it cost $200 to make and it made $330, that means it was profitable. Yeah, not really. Because the production budget doesn't take into account the marketing budget, and they probably spent about $20 to $30 to $40 million marketing the film. And on top of that, that $335 million or $330 million that it makes doesn't all go back to studio. About a third of it, about 30%, somewhere between, around 33%, goes back to the actual movie theaters, that you actually show the movies. So about a third goes to them. So now that $330 million is suddenly really around $220 million, $215 million. So when you're talking about a movie that costs $200 million plus $30 or $40 million to make, suddenly now you've got a $330 million movie that actually lost money. And Prince of Persia lost the studio a lot of money. And studios, unless a movie is really loved by the public, like really loved, and they see huge potential for a sequel, which is not the case with Prince of Persia, a studio is not in the habit of making sequels to movies that lose them tens of millions of dollars. So for that reason, that's why we haven't seen a Prince of Persia 2 so far, and probably why I'm guessing we're never going to see a Prince of Persia 2. Clark, what did you think of the original Prince of Persia? And do you think there's a chance we could see a sequel?
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm sorry, Luis. I'm glad you enjoyed the movie as well, but you've never met a bigger Jake Gyllenhaal fan than myself. My future husband is what I like to call him. But regardless, I could not make it through Prince of Persia. I tried so hard, and I was game. I wanted to see the movie. I thought it looked like a lot of fun. Whatever. It was so boring. I thought it was boring. I didn't like it. I had a really tough time with it, and I know a lot of financially, as you just very articulately laid out, John, it didn't make enough money. There's no reason that Disney, and honestly, after John Carter, and now we've got John Carter, and now we've got Lone Ranger, which isn't doing super well yet. So Disney can't afford to invest in properties that are not going to go gangbusters. So I don't think that they're going to take a chance on another Prince of Persia or even a reboot down the line. I just don't see it happening.
Agreed. All right, let's get to the next question. The next question comes to us from Steve Dowling, who writes, I've been watching your show for a while now, and you helped me get through the workday. Well, I'm glad we could be of some help there, Steve. My question is, do you think there will be a Lord of the Rings reboot? And if so, how soon? I recently watched a Lord of the Rings marathon with some friends, and the original film's effects are not holding up all that well. Personally, I think they should reboot it after the Hobbit trilogy is completed. If The Hobbit can have 3 movies, why not split the main trilogy into multiple movies as well? I'd love to hear your thoughts on things. Thanks. Well, what do you think, Clark? Is it time to reboot Lord of the Rings?
It's funny, actually. When I read this question, I was like, is Steve crazy? And then I thought to myself, no, actually, going along with what Hollywood does, I remember before Dark Knight Rises had even come out, the studio was like, yeah, we're doing that again. We're going to do another Batman. It's not going to be this Batman. We're doing more Batman. Now, obviously, things have changed with Justice League and all of that, but that was announced in the trades. We are planning on rebooting Batman. And I just thought to myself, we haven't even had the last Batman yet. Same with Amazing Spider-Man. How much time went by before Sony said, nope, time to do it again? So actually, Steve, I don't think you're crazy for asking this question. However, I do think you might be a little crazy for wanting the reboot this fast. I don't see that in the cards, and I think a lot of fans of the original trilogy would probably be up in arms over it. So I don't see that happening. But realistically, if I was going to take a guess, I'd say 10 years after 10 years max after the last Hobbit movie comes out, we might have a reboot. I don't know. What do you think?
Steve is crazy. Here's why you're not crazy, but I disagree with you wholeheartedly about wanting to reboot Lord of the Rings. Now, unlike Batman, okay, Batman, who is a character, but then you can make any kind of story you want. Right. So, for instance, Batman Begins was very, very different from Tim Burton's original Batman film. Like, basically a completely different story in most ways. Whereas The Lord of the Rings is a book. And it is pretty set in stone as to what it is. So rebooting that means making the exact same movie, just with different actors. I have kind of now everybody knows who watches the show. I am totally good with reboots. I'm reboot everything. Don't care, because if the reboot sucks, I've got the original that I can still hold dear. So that's kind of my theory. But I've always said I've got a couple of rules. And a couple of the rules are go as follows. Number one, that a reboot or remake, if it's a adventure or a sci-fi movie, can benefit from modern visual effects. Now, are the effects of Lord of the Rings completely up to par now, 10, 11, 12, however many years ago the original Lord of the Rings was? Are they completely up to par today with today's visual effects? Well, no, because it's been a lot of years. But to say that they don't hold up, I think, is an exaggeration. I think the effects in Lord of the Rings still hold up today. I think they're still going to be holding up for a number of years to come. One of the other rules that I usually have about remaking films is, has the majority of the current film-going audience seen the original? In this case, yeah, everybody has still seen Lord of the Rings. I mean, everybody today, even if they were 4 years old when the originals came out, everybody's seen Lord of the Rings. So I don't think there's anything you can do. Plus, it's completely beloved. So it's not like they had great source material that they ruined and thus decided to reboot it. I usually then say I'd like to have it about 20 years before you do a reboot, normally speaking, but there can be exceptions to that, obviously. But for those reasons, I just don't see any need to reboot it. Everybody has seen the current ones. The current ones are still pretty current. The visual effects really aren't that out of date. And it's one solid story, unlike Batman or Spider-Man or something else where you can change the stories. You're just taking a new, fresh look at it. Lord of the Rings, you don't take a new, fresh look at. You follow the book. In as much as Peter Jackson did, at any rate. So, yeah, you're crazy. I don't see them doing a reboot. I hope they don't do a reboot. Not yet. Maybe 15, 20 years after the final Hobbit film. Yeah, maybe then. But I'd say wait until then. All right, let's go to the next question. The next question comes to us from Harry Green, who writes, first, I like the live streaming video segment from yesterday. I think, and he's obviously talking about the live stream we did on Thursday. But I think it should be done on Fridays. Yet, I am an East Coast guy, and I noticed that I am not able to view your shows until after 5 p.m. my time. Therefore, what time does your show air? All right, let me address the first half of that question, okay? We don't do the show live. We actually record them at 10:30 in the morning, California time. And then we do all the post-production on it and then upload it. And it's usually uploaded around 2 to 3 o'clock Los Angeles time, which is around 5 to 6 o'clock East Coast time. If we were going to do them live, I'm guessing we'd probably do live shows around 10:30 in the morning as well. So they would go up they would be up live immediately. They'd be live about 1:30 East Coast time, 10:30 LA time. But we haven't made any decisions yet on if we're going to do more live shows, and if we do more live shows, how many we would do. If we do more live shows, it'll probably be about once a week. So that's what I'm guessing at this point, but I don't have any firm answers. But let's get on to the second part of your question. And the second part of your question was, second, do you think Justin Timberlake will give a good performance in Runner Runner, which seems very similar to Wolf of Wall Street and 21 starring Jim Sturgis and Kevin Spacey? Well, let's put it this way. I think Runner Runner looks really good. Now, I'm a big poker guy. I play in the World Series every year. I really love poker. So whenever you got a poker movie coming out, you're going to get my attention. And this has my attention. I think the story sounds really cool about an online guy. I think he's been cheated, goes offshore to where they headquarter online poker. And of course, you've got Ben Affleck in there, who I think is terrific. But do I think Justin Timberlake will give a good performance? Let me instead answer another question. Is Justin Timberlake capable of a good performance? And I'll say no. I do not think Justin Timberlake is a very good actor at all. I think he's pretty wooden and everything. Now, don't be confused by thinking that I don't like Justin Timberlake. I actually think Justin Timberlake, I'm a huge Justin Timberlake fan, actually. I think overall, the dude is the number one entertainer in the world. I would watch Saturday Night Live every single week if he was hosting every single week. I think the dude's funny. He's charming. I think he's got great musical talent. I think he's the best entertainer in the world. I just don't think he can act any more than I could act. And so, do I think he'll give a great performance? No. But can he at least be wooden enough that he doesn't detract from the movie? I think he's capable of that. He did that in The Social Network, where he was just kind of there and reading lines, but he didn't do so badly that he detracted from the movie. And I think as long as he does that and doesn't detract away from the great performance we're going to get from Ben Affleck, then I think everything's going to be fine. So, Clark, what do you think?
Well, to me, Justin Timberlake's best performance was in a little film called Model Behavior. I don't know if any of you all... No, I'm just kidding. That's his second best performance. His first best performance was actually in Alpha Dog. I'm a big fan of his work in that movie. I thought he did a really great job.
I thought you were going to say Love Guru.
Why would I ever say Love Guru? No, but... I'm with you, John. When we were watching White House Down and that trailer came on, it was just like, whoa. I think the movie looks awesome. I think Ben Affleck looks fantastic. I have always been on Team Ben Affleck. I will watch him do anything, even when it's terrible. But Justin Timberlake, to me, as an actor, stands out like a sore thumb. He just, to me, is dead weight. I know that's a bit more harsh than how you might feel, John, but I think he is glaringly bad. I think he's distractingly bad. But that being said, as an entertainer, as a sketch comedy performer, he is fantastic. Every character he's come up with on Saturday Night Live is different and fun and funny. I love the Moe Shambit one where he's the born actor.
Oh my gosh. I just got turned on to those sketches, like the one with him and the one with Ben Affleck and the one with Jamie Foxx. Yes. I think they're the funniest things Saturday Night Live has done in years. I love those.
They're brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant. And when is it not fun to go, thanks, Champagne? So anyway, the point I'm making is I think that Runner Runner is going to be really cool. It looks awesome. Ben Affleck looks great. I'm glad the Fleck is back with a vengeance. But boy, Justin, no. And also, just real fast, I could count on I could name so many other actors who I would love to see go toe-to-toe with Ben Affleck in that role, in that same age range as Justin Timberlake, the same kind of look. And it's just kind of, to me, it's a disappointment every time I see that it's Justin doing something serious when it could be somebody else who I want to see actually acting with these great actors. So to me, I think he's going to be distractingly terrible. But who knows? We'll find out.
All right, let's move on to the next question. The next question comes to us from Alberto Macias. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Alberto. Hey, John, Scooby Doo is my favorite talking dog. And, you know, from all the talking dogs that are out there. I grew up with Scooby Doo. I loved both Scooby Doo movies. They both had great comedy. My question is, why hasn't there been a Scooby Doo reboot? I've been waiting a long time for a Scooby Doo reboot. A few years ago, there were rumors that Universal was working on a Scooby Doo reboot, but it was false. Well, Alberto, You're right. I mean, I know a lot of people that love Scooby-Doo, as a matter of fact. At least the first one. I don't know many people that like the second one. But here's the main reason why there hasn't been a Scooby-Doo reboot, and they haven't gone back to Scooby-Doo. The first Scooby-Doo movie, while being made for a fairly modest, it was under $100 million at any rate. The first Scooby-Doo movie made $153 million. The second Scooby-Doo movie made half of that, made $84 million, so almost half. That's this trajectory. That's not the trajectory on the old charts that the studio executives like to see. So it's like, okay, people came out and saw the first Scooby-Doo, but they were not interested in coming back to watch it again. And if we make another one, it's probably going to be down here. So I think the reason that we haven't seen a third Scooby-Doo is purely financial. I mean, the second one lost the money, and a lot less people went to go see it, which means they weren't interested anymore. So that's why we haven't seen him reboot. I think with a brand recognition of a Scooby-Doo, I think at some point we're going to see a studio snatch up the rights and do another one. But I think we're a good 5 to 10 years away from that happening. I don't think people want to touch the name Scooby-Doo right now. But I think eventually it'll happen. Just don't hold your breath. Clark, how do you see it?
Yes, similarly, I'm thinking actually of the Smurfs movies that are coming out, and we've got the Alvin and the Chipmunks franchise that's going fairly strong because they keep making them. So I think that there is definitely potential for another one. I thought that the Scooby-Doo movie, I saw the first one, I didn't see the second one. Even when the first one came out, I was a little old for it, meaning like and I'm a huge fan of Matthew Lillard. Actually, that whole cast really was a great cast, and I thought they were all really fun together, but I was just a little too old for it. So I could see maybe somebody picking it up and doing it again in the future. I mean, it would make sense that they're still showing the cartoon. The cartoons are still popular. The characters are still popular, and I think they'll be popular for a long time. But yeah, I mean, if they're not making money, they're not going to keep making them. So maybe is there a direct to DVD sequel, a Scooby-Doo sequels out there somewhere? Maybe that is more
there
likely.
Could be that actually. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's 3 or 4 Scooby-Doo movies stumbling around at the bottom of some Walmart bin somewhere.
Yep, that would be my guess.
All right, let's get to the last question of the day, and this one comes to us from Nathan, who writes, "Hello, AMC Movie Talkers. I love the show and have been watching it for a few months now. My question is, have there been any reports on if there would be another X-Files movie, or possibly, I hate to say it, a reboot and use different actors for the roles of Agent Fox Mulder and Dana Scully? I know the X-Files, I want to believe, was more like a reunion and trying to be a closer for some questions. But would you be up for a reboot or making another movie? Clark, what do you think? Would you be up for some more X-Files?
I mean, sure. In fact, I feel like I read recently, within the last 18 months, that there's always kind of talk floating around somewhere that they might want to try and make another movie. And actually, I just read that they are confirmed. The cast and Chris Carter are confirmed for Comic-Con this year. So maybe coming out of that panel, we'll get some news and we'll be able to share it with you guys. But and also on the idea of the reboot or casting other actors, I feel like as a show that came to a close and Mulder and Scully the focus, and you have John Patrick, is that Patrick and Lucy Lawless kind of took over the main roles in the last season or two of the X-Files TV show. That might have been an attempt to sort of stick other characters and say, okay, does this have legs? Is the audience going to stick with them in this universe? And I think we got our answer because we got 2 Mulder and Scully movies after that. So I don't know if they would put other actors in roles, but I could definitely see them attempting to try and open up the universe again. I think it'd be actually a really cool web series if a web channel could get behind, similar to how they're doing those Mortal Kombat web series. I think that might be cool to open it up and whet the appetite for some more X-Files on web. That might be kind of neat.
See, I think I'd be up for another X-Files movie, provided one major important thing: the movie is to close everything off. Because the X-Files kind of near the end became an unmitigated mess. I mean, they had no continuity anymore. Like they were contradicting themselves left, right, and center. And the last movie was like, I was hoping it would be kind of connected and give us some answers to the overall series. And it wasn't. It was just like another X-Files case. And so if they were going to do another one, I would be all for it and I'd be cool to watch it, provided that the purpose of the film would be to bring everything to a close, to answer the questions, to bring it to a resolution. If Carter was to say, yeah, we're making a movie and this is what we're doing, not only would I be open to it, I think I'd be pretty damn excited about it. But if they just make another X-Files movie for the sake of it doing it, whether it's rebooted or bringing back the original cast, then I'm just not interested, because to me, you've already dug yourself a hole. They turned a great show into a bit of a mess. Man, do you remember they tried to even do that? What were they? The Lone Gunman. That was it. They tried to do that Lone Gunman series, the spin-off series.
Yeah.
Oh, that was.
But I think that's the right idea. There's so much universe there. There's so much universe. I would be totally happy to see something within the X-Files universe, provided, though, that they do it right. And it seems like there's, it's a blessing and a curse to have too much universe, because it's, they made a lot of mess with their universe. So
true. All right, folks. Well, listen, we've run out of questions for today. Thank you so much for joining us. We will, of course, be back again tomorrow on Sunday for our second weekend AMC mailbag. Make sure you come on back to our channel here on YouTube to tune in for that. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, while you're here, take a second and click on that subscribe button. Become a subscriber to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. Keep you up to date on all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC Movie Talk Show, which you can see here Monday through Friday. And, of course, our weekend AMC Mailbag Show. I want to thank, as always, the lovely Clark Wolf for joining us. Thanks so much, Clark.
Thank you for having me, John.
And thank you most of all to you guys. As always, the most important part of these shows is certainly not what we have to say. It's what you have to say. Make sure you jump on down to the comments section. Leave your thoughts on any or all of the topics that we discussed here today. So until next time, my name is John Campia for AMC Movie News. And until then, bye-bye.